Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the final guest of Dan-A-Plooza, actress and voiceover talent, Eliska Hahn.
Hi, good evening.
Good evening. It's good to have you return. For those turning in, Eliska was on the first Dan-A-Plooza in the early building stages, and look where we've come now.
I know this has grown and I'm so proud of you and I'm really happy to be back.
Thank you. And since we are now in the spooky season of Halloween, which is now October 2nd, Eliska is going to tell us about the project she was recently involved in. Comes out October 15th, Halloween Kills.
Yes. So this is the next installment of the Halloween ties, which is, believe it or not, over 40 years old. I remember going to see, I'm actually in my hometown of Kingwood, West Virginia, visiting my dad today. And I remember seeing the very first Halloween right here in this little town in 1979. And it was an absolute thrill all of these years and decades later to get to be involved in this last trilogy. This is the last trilogy that Jamie Lee Curtis will be portraying Laurie Strode, our final girl extraordinaire. And this is the second movie in the trilogy. There was Halloween at 2018. This
Yeah.
is Halloween Kills. And then Halloween Ends will start filming either later this year or the beginning of next year for the in October 2022.
Well, I think that it's great that it's lasted so long. Why do you think that Halloween is still a popular movie with the 40-year time span?
There's been so many incarnations of it. But I can tell you that what it does well is it doesn't deviate much off of that classic horror theme, of a spooky, scary person like Michael Myers that you just can't seem to kill. You can't kill the boogeyman. That's what they always say in the movie. You can't kill the boogeyman, and they certainly haven't done it yet. But it's I can tell you that it was really nice to be a part of this because hold on. Oh, there, let me turn my car on so I can actually have light. It was really a thrill to be a part of this particular film because without any spoilers or causing anybody to, like I said, understand exactly what's going to happen in the movie, because I know everybody's anticipating it, so I don't want to give too much away. But really, this is a movie about trauma and how Michael Myers has traumatized not only Laurie, and which is of course played by Jamie Lee Curtis, and her daughter played by Judy Greer, and her granddaughter played by Andy Malachek. And it was a thrill to be working with all of those strong three Strode women. But really, this story talks about how their lives have been traumatized by Michael Myers. But here's the cool thing, is that it also tells the story about how the town and citizens of Haddonfield have been traumatized by Michael Myers. And I play one of those citizens that is at the hospital after this, after he has come home this time. And I was thrilled to be able to shoot for 5 days on this film. In the hospital scenes, very up close and tight with my very first scene was face to face with Jamie Lee Curtis,
Wow.
shooting with her, shooting with the original sheriff from the 1979 film. You're going to see a lot of people that came back from the original film that came back to do this film. Shooting with Anthony Michael Hall, John Hughes fan, and Anthony certainly did a lot of John Hughes movies back in the 80s, and of course was Rusty in National Lampoon's Vacation, and has done so much other work. But he is in this film portraying Tommy, who a grown up Tommy, and of course Tommy was one of the two children that Laurie Strode was babysitting that first night. So it was just a thrill to be working, to walk in and see John Carpenter, who also wrote a brand new soundtrack for this film. And I'm happy to report that if anybody goes and gets the soundtrack on vinyl, that I am pictured on the dust cover of the vinyl. Right over Jamie Lee's shoulder is me. So I made that, so I think I'll show up in the movie too. But it was the other interesting part about this is that I was living in Wilmington, North Carolina, which is where this movie was shot. Where I was living, the area of Wilmington was actually scouted and used for much of the outdoor types of scenes. So in addition to being at Screen Gems Studios for 5 days shooting on the hospital soundstage, which which represented Haddonfield Memorial Hospital, I also basically lived inside of this movie because they were shooting in my neighborhood for weeks and weeks and weeks. So you'll see my park at the end of my street that I used to take my dogs to. That plays a pretty big part in the movie. There is a flashback scene that was shot half a block down from my house. It was really cool to be able to sit and watch that. And literally have my little neighborhood in the movie. So this was a really unique experience because, living, basically in a movie and then going and being a part of it as an actor was a really wonderful and unique experience.
So shifting gears, since it is spooky season, curious to know if there's anything that scares you as far as horror movies.
Michael Myers scares me. In fact, big time. I can't believe, and anybody that knows me, they were just shocked that I was in this movie because these are the types of movies that I don't normally watch. I do not like horror movies. And a really made the stand-in for James Judd Courtney, who is Michael Myers, and he did a lot of the stand-in work on the movie. And I would text him, and I'm like, "Where are you?" Because I don't want to walk around a corner and find you standing there in the mask. And I'm like, his name is Braden Bunch. I love Braden to death, and he does a lot of stand-in work all through Wilmington and down into Peachtree, Georgia, for a lot of great films. And but I knew that if I happened to bump into him when he had the mask on, that it would traumatize me for the rest of my life. So I always was texting him, "Where are you? Where are you?" So, and one of the major scenes too, was shot in the alleyway behind my house one night. I have some pictures of that. And I went inside. I refused to watch it because I knew that that he was going to be in that scene, and I didn't want to see him in my alleyway because I figured I wouldn't sleep 4 months after that. So yeah, I guess all of the traditional types of, it doesn't matter if it's Freddy Krueger or Michael Myers or all the stuff that's supposed to be scary is very scary to me. It truly is.
I know my mom always told me the horror movie that she saw that freaked her out is Trilogy of Terror.
Never saw it.
It is.
But here's another movie. I'll tell you this one, and I watched it last year for Halloween because I thought, I'm at home. We were still COVIDing, and I thought, really get into the mood here. I don't have any trick or treaters, so I spent all day and evening watching Halloween-based films or spooky films, and I watched the original Fright Night from
Chris Sarandon.
1985 or 6, whenever that was. And that scared me as bad this time last year as when I saw it like 30 years ago. So yeah, that was very effective and very frightening. And it's crazy because I have great friends and my sister who love those types of movies. And just, the scarier the better, and I'm the exact opposite of that. But you can, I'm breaking my neck to get down to the Carolinas when filming starts again for Halloween Kills or for Halloween Ends, because I want to be in the finale of the trilogy. So yeah, I would do anything to work with David Gordon Green again, Danny McBride, who co-wrote Halloween Kills. They are fantastic people. And then, of course, all the actors, including Jamie Lee. So I really am trying to get on set and do some work in ends. And these are scary movies. I mean, really scary movies. I don't know how I'm going to keep my eyes open long enough to find myself in different scenes because this is a thrill ride. I heard an interview with Jamie in the last couple of days as she was describing this. The U.S. premiere was, I believe, last night. And she said, it's going to have you on the edge of your seat the whole time. There's almost no downtime in this film. You're going to be very agitated, very, anxiety type of, grip. Yes, a lot of that and there is almost no downtime in the film. So it's a scary movie. So, but I'm looking forward to it. It's kind of cool after being a professional actor since I did my first professional movie at 23. Wow. And all these years later to walk into a theater and see myself on the screen is cool. Very cool.
Yeah. That the reason that movie scared my mom was the guy was like this big and he had like fang teeth and he was a little Islander guy, and the lady tried to get rid of him by putting him in the suitcase, and he took a butcher knife and poked up through the suitcase.
Oh my gosh.
And then she threw him in the oven, and then she thought, because she turned the oven on, he's gonna burn, and then you see him like like on the oven, like in the screen and that. So my mom would always check the suitcase and like check the oven.
Yeah, I would not do well. I would be just like your mom. I would not do well with any of that. I mean, I remember kind of scary, but there was some comedy in there, so I could watch that. But generally, it's tough for me to watch horror films. But as an actor, I just am so thrilled to be a part of this franchise because it has been so long lasting and enduring, and the fan base for the Halloween films is phenomenal. I mean, it's like it takes on a life of its own. I mean, these fan pages and these people that have just waited patiently for the last 2 years. Of course, this film was supposed to be released worldwide last October, and then our director, David Gordon Green, Universal Studios, Blumhouse, all made the wise decision to not release into theaters last October, and to not just limit it to streaming, because the film was would really have been robbing the fans to just release it to a streaming platform. Like I said, John Carpenter had done a brand new soundtrack for the film that really should be heard in surround sound. The way the film was shot, the recording of the audio was definitely meant to be experienced in a theatrical setting. So now, and I don't even know if I had mentioned this to you, so now the film will be released nationwide on the 15th. To theaters, but also Peacock Television. You can stream Halloween Kills on Peacock TV starting Friday the 15th. So that kind of gives people both options. If, because, we're still going through, pandemic stuff. So if you don't feel comfortable returning to the theater, you can still have access to the film and watch it at home, pop your popcorn and enjoy it with your friends and family. But, for those that do feel comfortable, going into a theater setting, or maybe live in a smaller rural area where maybe it's a little less crowded, you can do that too. So they really have done a great thing and made it very accessible by the entire Halloween fan base.
Yeah, I think that that's a great option, because I know I work next weekend, so I'll be watching it on Peacock.
Yes. Well, what's great, and what I plan on doing, is watching it a couple of times in the theater, and then come home and experience on a Peacock too. It's really great. In fact, I was just, and my dad is 93 and a half, and I was just getting him set up with Peacock TV so he can watch it. He was so supportive when I shot the film 2 years ago, and he's waited patiently to see his little girl in a big Hollywood movie.
So when you do see yourself in certain scenes, and even when Halloween Ends comes, the option is you can always do it super slow-mo, like we used to, when you could pause and watch.
Yeah, well, that's the thing about being an extra or a featured extra. I don't normally do extra work. When I've done film work, I've been one of the main characters, and had lots of lines. I just did an independent film where I was the lead female in May, and that will come out next year. But I have never really done extra work in films before. But this was worth it. Being a part of this franchise and working with these actors and with this director was so worth it. And that's why, like I said, I'll break my neck to be on the next and final one. But when you're an extra, it's all about riding the pause button. Oh, there's my elbow. Oh, there's my hair. And it is about that. But it's it's about reliving that fun, and just being even a sliver of a project that you feel so passionate about.
You better get some Halloween merchandise for when you hit conventions again.
I'm already collecting some really cool stuff to bring with me. I was supposed to actually be at a convention next weekend on the canceled. So, due to COVID, which is understandable. I will be around whenever it is good and right and safe to for these convention promoters to put us back out there. And I've already started to collect some pretty cool stuff to bring with me for fans, and I got great stories. lots of really cool stories that once the movie comes out, I'll be more at liberty to share. But it's it is, I don't believe in robbing somebody of the experience by, maybe slipping a spoiler here and there, because, the best part is, not knowing and going and experiencing a film, but after it comes out and people see it, then yeah, I could talk a little bit more from about the
Yeah.
behind the scenes stuff. But it was a wonderful experience. And of course, Danny McBride is well known for a variety of different projects. Another thing that he has recently worked on is the Righteous Gemstones on
I've heard of
HBO.
that.
He is well known for Eastbound and Down. Hilarious person, and it's kind of, with his comedic background, it was kind of interesting to see him, contributing and co-writing this very gory, high kill counts horror script,
Yeah, I remember him from Land of the Lost, Your Highness.
Yes. Uh-huh. Super nice guy, very funny. Just, but you can tell what this means to them to get this last trilogy right, for the characters and for the fans.
Well, we're going to get ready to wrap up on Dan-A-Plooza. Is there anything else you'd like to say or promote before we go?
Well, I just want to, thank everybody in advance for, supporting Halloween Kills. I am still talking and figuring out when Ambrosia, the film, will be released. It looks like it will maybe be next spring, and that is the comedy that I filmed in May of this year. They were doing pickups last weekend. That's always a good sign in the editing process, when you go back and grab some pickups to finish that post-production process. So we're inching ever closer to the completion of the post-production process on that. And so hopefully I'll have some great news about a release date for that coming up. I'm waiting for a call right now from a project that's just started filming in Pittsburgh. It's called Rustin, and
Very cool.
It is a large film that is being directed by the same director that did Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. And it is produced by the Michelle and Barack Obama production company called Higher Ground. So, yes, I've had several availability checks from them, and then I'm just waiting to hear back about a casting call, or a time to come in and start filming. So it's a lot of exciting things, even in the midst of issues with the pandemic. The industry as a whole has figured out how to safely get back together and start making movies again, and I think that's thrilling.
I do know that when I talked to my guest Mark Terrano, I don't know if you know him. He's a zombie from Day of the Dead, and he was in Knight Riders.
Oh.
They're doing a League of Their Own TV series.
Yes.
In Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
And he has a role in that, but they may be coming back. So
yes, I had seen that. I live about an hour outside of Pittsburgh, so some wonderful movies are being made in Pittsburgh, and that's so thrilling to me, because really, I'm in West Virginia, but this is where I was born and raised. But really, this is less than 2 hours south from Pittsburgh. So Pittsburgh was kind of always my backyard and feels like home. This is home. So it's really great to see that caliber of film and these different projects for Hulu and Netflix and the other large streaming platforms coming in and using Pittsburgh. Recently, I was up to film on American Rust, starring Jeff Daniels, which is out now on Hulu, I believe. And I could not do that project and the film at the same time. So I went with the film back in the spring. But the first season of American Rust was filmed in Pittsburgh. So yeah, a lot of great stuff coming out of the area. So that's exciting.
My friend Joran, he got to be in American Rust with Jeff Daniels. So
Great. Oh, that's wonderful. From what I've seen so far, I've watched maybe 3 or 4 of the episodes, and it's fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. And I ordered the book. I haven't got to sit down and read it yet. Actually, my husband has read it, and they're staying very close to the book in the series.
Yep. So we'll look for we'll look forward to those future projects. Keep supporting Dan-A-Plooza. Look for Halloween Kills October 15th in theaters or on Peacock. Have a good night, everyone.
Thanks, Dee.